Before you pack for your next trip, you need to hear this. Over 60% of the carry-on bags currently being sold don't meet the new airline standards for 2025, and enforcement is ramping up fast. Major airports are reporting rejection rates up 40% just in the first quarter of this year alone. If you're planning a bucket list trip, visiting the grandkids, or finally taking that retirement cruise with a positioning flight, getting caught with the wrong bag could cost you anywhere from $85 to $150 in surprise gate check fees. Today I'm sharing the strategies you need to avoid those fees, protect your medications, and actually win the overhead bin wars without paying extra. Because don't pack yet, these 2025 carry-on rules just changed, and what worked last year might get you rejected at the gate this year. The $7 billion baggage fee scam airlines don't want you to know. Airlines will tell you these new rules are about safety and standardization. But here's what they won't mention. In 2024, airlines made over $7 billion from baggage fees alone. That's billion with a B. And here's the surprising part. This entire carry-on chaos started back in 2008 when airlines first introduced checked baggage fees. Before that, most people happily checked their bags because it was included in the ticket price. But the moment they started charging $25, then $35, now sometimes $70 per checked bag, everyone rushed to carry everything on board. The overhead bins became a battlefield, and now airlines are using these stricter rules to push people back toward checking bags and generating more revenue. It's a cycle they created, and we're the ones dealing with the chaos. But here's what you can do about it. If you're flexible with your airline choice, Southwest still offers 2 free check bags, and many international carriers include at least 1 free check bag even on economy tickets. Sometimes paying a slightly higher base fare for an airline with free baggage ends up saving you money compared to a budget carrier that nickel and dimes you for everything. Run the math before you book, especially if you're planning a longer trip where you'll need more than just a carry-on. The cheapest ticket isn't always the cheapest option once you add up all those fees. The medical exemption loophole 90% of travelers don't know exists. Now, if you're traveling with prescription medications, and honestly, this applies to most of us over a certain age, this next part is absolutely non-negotiable. Airlines lose about 1 in every 220 checked bags. Those are pretty good odds until it's your bag with your blood pressure medication, your diabetes supplies, or your heart medication sitting in some airport across the country while you're trying to enjoy your vacation. One traveler on Alaska Airlines shared that they were forced to gate check their correctly sized carry-on because other passengers brought too many bags, and their critical medications were nearly lost. That's unacceptable, and it's preventable. Here's what most people don't know, and this could save you hundreds. Medical necessities qualify for exemptions on most airlines. You can bring an additional small bag for medical supplies beyond your regular carry-on and personal item allowance, but you have to know to ask for it. Get a letter from your doctor on official letterhead that lists your medications and states they must remain with you during travel for medical reasons. Keep this letter with your medications in a clear plastic folder. When you check in or speak to a gate agent, mention that you're traveling with medical necessities and show the letter if needed. Most gate agents will work with you when they see you've done your homework. Here's another practical strategy. Use a daily pill organizer that fits in your personal item and keep at least 3 days of medications there, separate from your main supply. If your carry-on does get gate checked unexpectedly, you'll have backup. And always keep medications in original prescription bottles with your name on them for at least a few pills. TSA occasionally asks to verify prescriptions, especially for controlled substances, and having that documentation eliminates any problems. So, how to fight back when someone steals your overhead bin space? Let's talk about the #1 complaint I see from travelers. And this one had over 600 likes on a recent video I watched. People stealing overhead bin space that isn't theirs. You board in Zone 4, walk back to row 23, and discover that passengers from Zone 1 stuffed their bags in the bins above your seat, leaving you with nowhere to put your belongings. It's frustrating, it's inconsiderate, and here's what you can do about it. First, understand that you don't need to pay $35 to $65 for early boarding to guarantee bin space. That's what the airlines want you to think. Here's the smarter approach that actually works. Flight attendants actually have the authority to enforce the rule that bags should go above or near your assigned seat. If you board and find your overhead space taken by bags from passengers sitting elsewhere, politely ask the flight attendant, "Could you help me find space for my bag since the bin above my seat is full?" Many times they'll move bags around or ask passengers to consolidate. You're not being difficult. You're asking them to enforce their own policy. Here's another strategy that works beautifully. Make sure your personal item truly fits under the seat in front of you and pack it strategically with everything you'll need during the flight. Medications, snacks, a book or tablet, headphones, a sweater for the inevitably freezing cabin. If your personal item is properly packed, you can survive the flight even if your carry-on ends up several rows away or gets gate checked. This gives you flexibility and reduces anxiety about the overhead bin situation. And here's something that surprises people. First-class bins are for first-class passengers. If you're in economy and someone in first class took your bin space, the flight attendant can and should address it. Know your rights? Exposed, not one bag at Target meets the new size requirements, but that's not the only way these new rules are changing how we travel. Let's get specific about measurements because this is where most people are getting caught. The new universal standard that most airlines are adopting is 22 inches by 14 inches by 9 inches. And here's the critical part that nobody tells you. That includes the wheels and the handles. Your old carry-on that's been perfect for 5 years might measure 22 by 14 by 9 for the main compartment, but once you add the wheels and extended handle, it's suddenly 24 or 25 inches. That's too big, and those size checker gates at airports aren't forgiving. One savvy traveler mentioned they went to Target and measured every single carry-on bag with a tape measure, and not one of them met the new requirements. Not one. The luggage industry is still catching up, so you can't just assume that a bag labeled as a carry-on will actually work. Before you buy anything, measure it yourself with the wheels and handles included, or better yet, look for bags specifically marketed as compliant with 2025 airline standards. And here's a money-saving tip. Soft-sided bags have a little more give than hard-shell cases, so they're more likely to squeeze into those sizing gates even if they're borderline on measurements. If you're looking at budget-friendly options, there are several compliant bags under $100. Look for lightweight materials since you'll be dealing with weight limits too, and prioritize bags with compression straps that let you squeeze them down even further. Spinner wheels work better than two-wheel designs because they navigate tight airplane aisles more easily, which matters when you're trying to board without bumping into every passenger and seat along the way. The secret gate scales that are catching everyone off guard. Now here's something airlines are doing quietly that's catching people off guard. They're installing scales at gates, and if your bag is over the limit, you're paying on the spot. Weight limits vary by airline, but most are settling around 17 to 22 pounds for carry-ons. International carriers tend to be stricter. Some enforce limits as low as 15 pounds or 7 kilograms. One traveler flying Lufthansa had their carry-on weighed and had to discard magazines they were planning to read on the long flight just to make weight. That's the reality now. Here's why this matters, especially for our age group. Lifting a 30-pound bag into an overhead bin isn't just difficult. It's a recipe for shoulder injuries, back problems, and pulled muscles. I've seen too many travelers struggle and strain trying to hoist overweight bags, and it's not worth the risk. This is where the weight limits actually serve a good purpose, even if the fees are annoying. Here's your practical strategy. Buy a digital luggage scale for about $12 on Amazon and weigh your packed bag at home before you leave. This eliminates surprises at the airport. Wear your heaviest items on board instead of packing them. Those boots, that heavy jacket, that bulky sweater, put them on before you check in. You can always take them off once you're through security and carry them if it's warm, but wearing them doesn't count toward your baggage weight. And here's a clever trick. If you have a layover in a colder climate, you'll be glad you have that jacket anyway, instead of freezing in the terminal. The personal item hack that gives you 70% more space free. Let me share a loophole that most travelers completely miss, and this one can be a game changer. Your personal item allowance is separate from your carry-on, and if you pack it strategically, you can bring 70% more on board without paying a dime extra. The new standard for personal items is 18 inches by 14 inches by 8 inches, and it must fit under the seat in front of you. That might sound small, but here's what surprised me. You can fit 3 days' worth of clothing in a well-designed under-seat bag if you pack smart. Look for bags with multiple compartments that keep everything organized. The best under-seat bags for travelers our age have easy access pockets for medications, charging cables, and snacks, plus a larger main compartment for clothing and toiletries. Packing cubes are your friend here. They compress clothing and keep everything neat. And because this bag stays at your feet during the entire flight, you have constant access to everything important. Medications, reading glasses, your phone, a granola bar, a water bottle, all right there without getting up or digging through the overhead bin. Here's what counts as a personal item: a purse, laptop bag, backpack, briefcase, or small duffel. Here's what doesn't count and will get you flagged: shopping bags from duty-free, a coat that's not being worn, a neck pillow unless it's attached to your bag, and multiple bags tied together. Some travelers try to game the system by bringing what's essentially a second carry-on and calling it a personal item. Gate agents are wise to this, and it can result in forced gate checking with fees. Your power bank could get you banned from flying. Now let's tackle something that confuses travelers constantly, especially those of us dealing with CPAP machines, hearing aid chargers, or other medical devices. The rules around power banks and electronics have gotten stricter, and a dead device now means no boarding. TSA requires that any electronic device must power on when asked. If your tablet, phone, or laptop is completely dead, they won't let it through security. Period. So here's your strategy. Charge everything the night before and carry a charging cable in your personal item to top things off at the gate if needed. For power banks, the rules are based on watt hours, and most people have no idea how to calculate this. Here's the simple version. Power banks under 100 watt-hours are allowed in carry-ons without any special permission. That covers most standard portable chargers. Power banks between 100 and 160 watt-hours require airline pre-approval. You need to contact them before your flight and get documented approval. Anything over 160 watt-hours is completely banned from flights. Here's how to check your power bank. Look for the milliamp hour rating, which is usually printed on the device. If it says 20,000 milliamp hours at 5 volts, multiply those numbers and divide by 1,000. That gives you 100 watt hours right at the limit. If you're not good with math, there are free online calculators that do this for you. Just search for Power Bank Watt Hour Calculator. For CPAP machines and other medical devices, most airlines allow these as additional carry-on items beyond your regular allowance. But the batteries need to meet the same watt-hour requirements. Check your device documentation or contact the manufacturer to confirm. And always bring your prescription or doctor's letter for medical devices. It smooths over any questions at security and proves medical necessity if a gate agent questions why you have extra equipment. Which airlines are the worst offenders? Names and shame. Here's what really happens at the gate, because there's a massive gap between the rules on paper and enforcement in reality. Airlines are wildly inconsistent, and it often comes down to the individual gate agent, how full the flight is, and frankly, what kind of day they're having. I've talked to travelers who flew the same route multiple times and had completely different experiences each time. One flight, nobody checked anything. The next flight, every single bag went through the sizing gate. Budget airlines like Spirit, Frontier, and Ryanair are notoriously strict because fees are a major part of their business model. They will measure, weigh, and charge you without hesitation. Legacy carriers like Delta, United, and American tend to be more moderate, especially for their loyalty program members. They'll enforce the rules when flights are full and overhead space is tight, but they might be more lenient on half-empty flights. International carriers, particularly European and Asian airlines like Lufthansa and Singapore Airlines, tend to enforce rules very consistently. If you're flying internationally, assume strict enforcement and pack accordingly. Here's what you need to know. Australian travelers mentioned that domestic enforcement there is quite lax, with passengers bringing bags bigger than checked luggage. But that varies by country and carrier. The takeaway? Don't assume anything. Check your specific airline's current policy, measure your bag, weigh it, and prepare as if they'll enforce everything strictly. Then if they're lenient, it's a pleasant surprise rather than an expensive shock. The free gate check strategy that saves you $35 every flight. This goes against conventional wisdom, but sometimes gate checking is actually your best move, and you should do it strategically. Here's what I mean. If you volunteer to gate check your bag early when they first make the announcement, you often get planeside return, meaning they bring your bag right back to you at the jet bridge when you land. You skip the baggage claim carousel entirely, and it's completely free, no check bag fee. Compare that to paying $35 at the check-in counter for a checked bag that might take 30 minutes to appear on the carousel, or worse, get lost. One experienced traveler mentioned they deliberately did this for years. They'd arrive at the gate just as boarding started, tell the gate agent they were concerned about overhead space, and get their bag gate checked for free with guaranteed planeside return. It's brilliant when you think about it. You get the benefit of checked baggage without the fee or the carousel wait. Now, this only works if your bag is properly sized and packed. You can't try this with a giant bag and expect them to accommodate you. But for a standard carry-on that's compliant but maybe slightly too bulky for a full flight, this strategy works beautifully. Here's what you absolutely cannot gate check: medications, travel documents, valuables like jewelry or laptops, anything fragile, and anything you'll need immediately upon landing. Those items stay in your personal item that goes under the seat with you, no exceptions. But clothing, toiletries, shoes, books, all that can go in the gate check bag without worry. Here's the strategic timing. When the gate agent announces they're looking for volunteers to gate check bags, raise your hand immediately. You'll get first priority for planeside return. If you wait until you're boarding and they force you to gate check because bins are full, you might not get planeside return and could end up at the baggage carousel anyway. So let's bring this all together, because these 2025 carry-on rules just changed, and you need to be ready before your next trip. Measure your carry-on right now with a tape measure, include the wheels and handles, and make sure you're at 22 by 14 by 9 inches or smaller. Over 60% of bags don't comply, so don't assume yours does. Document your medications with a doctor's letter on official letterhead, stating they must travel with you for medical reasons. Keep at least 3 days of backup medication in your personal items separately. Maximize your personal item to avoid fees. You can pack way more than you think in an 18 by 14 by 8-inch bag if you use packing cubes and compression. And know which airlines enforce strictly so you can prepare accordingly. Budget carriers and international flights? Expect strict enforcement. Domestic legacy carriers? More variable, but don't chance it. These rules don't have to derail your travel plans or stress you out. Now you're prepared with the strategies that work, the loopholes that save money, and the reality of what actually happens at the gate. So before you pack for that next trip, remember, 2025 carry-on rules just changed. But you've got the knowledge to travel smarter and more confidently than ever. What's your biggest carry-on frustration? Is it the overhead bin wars, the constantly changing rules, or something else entirely? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your input directly shapes the topics I cover in future videos. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.